Hi, my name is Rachel Riding. I'm a recent graduate of UNC Greensboro in their Department of Sociology, and in the fall I'll be pursuing a doctoral degree in sociology at the University of Delaware. I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means for me is that I have not used alcohol or other drugs since April 2011. I was a college student before I got sober. Um, I hit a bottom with drinking and using drugs that got me removed from school for a while. When I came back to school after a couple years of sobriety, I had a really, really hard time adjusting to being a college student and being a person in recovery. After I transferred to UNCG, I got involved with the recovery program here and got to experience RecoveryZone and see the support that it gave to students like me and the language it gave us to use and the connections that I made with other people, and felt like I could be a person in recovery and a college student again and didn't struggle the way I used to. There were so many emotional triggers for me when I first came back to school. I had a lot of social anxieties. I didn't know how to make friends or talk to my peers who were my age in my classes without talking about partying, because that was the only way that I had made friends or connected with people before. So I had a lot of fear with connecting with other college students. And when I first came back to school, I went to a school where I didn't feel like I had any recovery supports, so I felt very isolated and alienated from a lot of my peers. So when I came to UNCG, I had more of a recovery network here, and I felt more supported. It's very different. When I first came to UNCG, I basically just went to class and then I went home afterwards. I really didn't get involved with other extracurriculars. Really didn't make a lot of friends at school either, do a lot on the campus. So I was a successful student in terms of GPA, but that was it. I wasn't really happy. I was just going to school to get it done. And after the Spartan Recovery Program came about, I started actually getting involved with things on campus. I started connecting with other students who were in recovery. Some of them I had known before, some of them I hadn't, and forged much closer relationships with them. So I started to have a social network on campus that I hadn't had before. That was students in recovery and students who weren't in recovery, but who came forward and became allies after we started doing things like RecoveryZone. So I started feeling a lot more comfortable on campus and as a college student again. I started going to events that I'd never done before. We went to a soccer game one time. I'd never been to a college sporting event. And it was one of those things I was terrified of doing sober, because I'd always associated college athletics with drinking because that was the stereotype that went with it. So being able to do something like that sober with a group of people was so cool. And I think that was really empowering, being able to get that messaging and learn that like I am valued by my university community, and that people want me here, and I can really bring something to the community, and I can help make this a better place for other students. And it was just a really positive thing. It's cool seeing those little evidences of recovery and recovery awareness around campus. Like when I see a magnet somewhere, or when I see someone with a water bottle, or when I see people come to one of our events and like wear a t-shirt or something like that. Because it makes me feel like I am important and like my community matters too. And I think that's a really important thing for students to have, to feel like we're seen and we're recognized, and that we're worth being seen and recognized. There are a lot of students in recovery. There are a lot more students in recovery than I think anybody knows. A lot of times we're an invisible population because we're afraid to talk about it. And I think recovery zones and collegiate recovery programs and stuff like that are changing that, and we're talking about it more. The students in recovery that I know are some of the hardest working students I know. It's impossible to get us all together at the same time, because we all have like full class loads and like are getting good grades and are in all these extracurriculars. Most of us have a full-time job too, because we do so many things. We've taken all that energy that we used to put into negative things, and we're putting it into really positive things now, and really building up our community and getting involved, and doing great things. And I think when you look at all the things that students in recovery have done and are doing, it's impossible not to see the value that they add to our community. And it's so cool to see that. I used to put so much energy into finding the next party or um, whatever it was before I got sober, and now being able to put all that energy into all the other things I'm doing now and seeing other students doing that too, because we're not the stereotypical college student. I don't think we're delicate or need to be coddled. I think we're really, really resilient. Most of us have fought really, really hard to get back to where we're at today. And I think when we're given opportunities to do good things, we do good things and we take advantage of those opportunities. I think, the students in recovery, myself and those that I know, have fought a lot of battles and struggled with things that, a lot of other students might not have thought about, and things that ultimately make us better students, because we have to be so conscious about everything that we do. We have to be so intentional with all the decisions that we make, and we learn how to think about, these things that I'm doing, how will it affect me, how will it affect other people, how will it affect my recovery, like, is this decision going to put my recovery at risk? And we learn how to do those things ourselves. And I think having that awareness makes us really strong, hardworking, resilient students who don't need to be coddled. We need to be given more chances to do great things.